So good evening first and foremost, and please be free to ask any questions. Whenever you are want to ask a question, switch on your mic and ask me the question. If there is a network issue, you can type the question also. I will give the reply. Or if you feel so, just type the questions. So first and foremost, this is an image which I am using of Kaushik sir to explain you. First image, who has joined us today in the session. First, game plan or understanding the image. So, and in between the time, just tell me one thing: if the screen is shared or not, or if it's paused. Wait, again the screen has been paused. Share. Okay. So first, game plan or understanding the image. So let me open an image. Can you see this raw image? Can you see this raw image? Okay, fine. So basically, when we first take the raw image, so basically when we first take this raw image, there's some issues. So first, when we take this raw image, few things we have to keep it in our mind is just keep on messaging me or informing me if you can see the image or not, so I will get an idea. So first and foremost, what we have to do is, can you see the profile over here? Adobe profile, Adobe Color. Just Ravi ji, can you see the profile Adobe Color where
Yes, sir.
is?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So basically, this is a profile which Adobe gives us basic. Mostly the changes comes in our colors when we shoot. You can see an options over here: camera flat, camera neutral, camera standard, camera vivid, Adobe vivid, Adobe standard. There are many more lists. So basically, first thing which we have to do before opening a raw image or before coming into Photoshop to get the actual colors of the image is go to that exact camera profile that we have shot with. Kaushik sir, with which camera profile did you shoot the image? I think we have lost contact with Kaushik sir.
No, standard. You got
Standard,
my,
okay. Okay, fine,
yeah.
fine, sir. So first and foremost, if we have shot with standard, we will change the mode to standard. Mm, wait. Huh. So here is the standard mode, camera standard. So you can see the color changes now. It gave us a raw Adobe raw color. Some issues going with the raw file. Let me check with it. Wait a sec. Wait a sec. Let me check it. There is some issues going with the raw file. No, let me share screen. So now we can see fit to screen. So basically when it comes in Adobe color. Now you can see now the issues won't show. I've cleared the issues right now. So basically the profile comes in Adobe color. So whichever camera profile we are taking, we have to switch it to that. There will be a slight change in the color. See here, from here. Can we see the changes? So there will be a slight change. Let me zoom it out. You will get a better idea. Now, if we go to neutral, it will change a lot. Vivid, it will change a lot. So basically, first thing that we have to do is we have to assign the actual color we have shortened. The actual color we have shortened, then you will get a proper file. Rest is the adjustment part, which we will see to. Is this is the increasing and decreasing of highlights, controlling the highlights over the raws, whites. This is the blacks, enhancing and decreasing, and this is the shadows. So we won't go today in this. This is the basic raw. We have to, first thing we have to correct is we have to always open the image in the setting we have clicked in. That's camera standard, sir has clicked in. So this is the opened image now. So let's begin first thing. The first part is game plan or understanding the image. So what is this? Game plan or understanding the image is a part where we have to first prepare what areas we have to work in, what are the corrections we have to do. That's the basic theme or game plan of converting or doing an image. So let me start off with the zoom. Can you see the image right now? Okay. So first and foremost, we have to see the areas that we have to work on. Let me close Photoshop once. Some issues are coming. Let me close to Photoshop once. So I'm disabling your video for a few minutes. Ah, fine, sir. Nice. Some lagging was going. Actually, it was switching the screen. Okay, so now it's all set up. We can see it. So basically, when we create a game plan, what's our basic motive behind creating a game plan? We have to see to it what are the flaws we have to work before only starting the retouchings. Like these are the areas we have to work on. Like the some parts of the hairs. Then a key area that we forget always, you have to, before starting the retouching, you have to always see the aspects of retouching. See these areas in the hands. Now let's go to the backdrop area. Suppose there is one more area where we can check in. This hair parts, little flanges of hairs. So we have to always see the image beforehand. What editing we want to do, we have to prepare it, rather doing the work and continuously zooming in, zooming out and seeing it. So first make a mindset what you will edit in the image and what you won't edit in the image. First and foremost, most important part. Whatever retouching you want to do and don't want to do. Because the more you get stuck towards See, like this is a very small thing, which is, you can see right now. Now, this is a very small thing. So you can plan out, like, if you want this to be removed, if you want this strings to be removed, if you want the only this area hair portion to be removed here, this. So let me change the brush color a little. It would be a nicer color. So here you can see, this black string over here. So this is how we plan out our image, how to do the retouching. So first and foremost thing is planning out a retouching, what to retouch, what to make a check layer, make a pointer layer of the images, make a pointer layer of the images, what you want to work on and what you don't want to work on. That's a very key thing. That's a very key thing during retouching. You have to make a proper point everything, not of the major blemishes, but of the major portions which you can sometimes overlook. So you make a point of a layer, blank layer, where you can make each and everything, point out these are the things I have to retouch. Other than that, we have to see through. So let's come to the second part. Help layers. Can you see this help layer, this white help layer, game plan layer thing? Raviji, can you see it?
No.
You can't see this this one?
No.
Wait a sec. Wait, now let me close this. So now you can see it. Raviji, now you can see it.
Still, yes, now it's okay.
Just keep answering me, so that will be easy for me to understand if you can see or not. So let me open this image and save a PSD of it first. So which image are you seeing right now? Which image are you seeing right now?
Checklist.
The checklist you are seeing, right?
Yes.
Okay. So helper layers, how does it work? How does a helper layer work for us? So let's now you can see the image.
Yes, image is there.
So how to spot the blemishes or everything, the check layer, that helps us a lot. So there are few ways we can make check layers. First, let's go to a solid color, take black, and then add in the blending option in the layers. Let me bring it a little center to you. We have to go to color first and foremost. Now what does this this, due to we have only three colors, gray, black and whites, we can more prominently see now the blemishes that we have to work on. Now the blemishes are much more prominent to see as compared to your regular colored portions. Second thing we can do is we take a layer, we go new adjustment layer, we go to black and white, and a black and white layer is created. Now how we can adjust the black and white layer? Let's do an adjustment of the black and white layer. if we pull the blacks a little around minus 120 and we'll pull the whites, yellows a little, now you can see very promptly the blemishes, where the faults are of the skin are and where you can retouch. Is it visible clearly now? The difference you can see right from a normal till a black and white layer that we are making.
Perfect.
Sir, can you see it, Kaushik sir?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, fine, sir. So now if we make a black and white layer and we adjust the reds and the yellows, now we can easily see to it where are the issues where we can do our working on. So that's a benefit of a checker layer. Secondly, in the checker layer, you can make, as we have already made a normal black and white layer, you can add a curves layer and adjust the darkness a little. Now also you can see the differences. So this is how we make a checker layer to help us. A black and white image will always help you to get the proper differences of blemishes which you can't see in a normal layer. I will make a very simple part of this which you can work on making a checker layer. You don't need anything. Just go to the black and white layer. From new adjustment, go to black and white. Now this is the button which is for reset. Now if you enhance the reds, minus the reds, enhance the yellows, you can always see the blemishes. Once you are done with it, once you make a mark, you can always go back and keep it normal with this reset. Now enhance the yellows. Now you can see a little in the whiter portions, and now no need to enhance the yellows, pulls the reds. You can see where is the flaws coming. So such how you can make a basic checker layer. And one more thing that you can add in a checker layer is make a blank layer, fill any color with it, and from here go to edit, fill 50% gray. Okay, now go to noise, filter, noise, add noise around 3 to 4 points. This kind of a noise pattern will come. Okay, and then make it simple color. So what does a noise does? Can you see a little change in the patterns? Let me add a little more noise. So what noise will help out in normal circumstances It will always help you seeing the blemishes very promptly when you work on. It will give a texture to your image. So next part we come down. The checker layer part is clear to you all?
Yes, clear, sir.
Clear? Okay.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes, sir.
okay, fine. Now, which image can you see?
Your folder.
Okay, fine. Now you can see this, the
The guidelines.
guidelines. Okay. Next, we come down to Photoshop performance. How the Photoshop performance, we can increase and decrease the Photoshop performance of our system. So let me close this. So basically, we have to come to edit, preferences, performance. First and foremost thing that we have to do is check this portion. This portion is your dedicated RAM slot, the RAM you want to dedicate Photoshop to. Basically, the thing is the amount of RAM. Like I have 32 GBs of RAM. I have allotted 70%, around 20 GB it's showing. To keep the RAM around 70 to 90%, if you have a lesser PC, suppose 16 GB RAM or 8 GB RAM, then make it around 90. If you have a high-end PC, such as 32 GB RAM, 64 GB RAM, then go and allot it around 70%. It will help your speed. Secondly, history state. History state is a very important thing. It happens whatever work we are doing, it records a history which you can go back and come back. So now the history state is 50 times. We can manipulate it up to 1000 times if we want to. But what happens if we increase the history state? The performance of the PC also starts getting a little laggy. You have to understand, the more you do undo, redo, back front, the more it will affect in your cache memory. It will keep in your cache memory, so it will be a little laggy sometimes. So better understand how much back step back you want, or want to go backwards. So keep it around 50 to 100, 20 to 100. Between 20 to 100 is one of the best ways of performance. One of the best performance where it will help you out. So let me keep it around 50. Second is the cache level. Cache level is a part where you have to always keep the cache size to 1024 and cache level not more than 5 to 8, because cache level is a thing which creates the memory, and keeps it. The more you do zoom in, zoom out, or stretch in, stretch out, it comes in the cache. So keep it around 5 to 8. It will help out in the performance. And secondly, always if you have a graphics card, you always check in the graphics card. In advanced setting, don't have to do anything. Keep the graphics card on, and there is an option called drawing mode. There will be three modes. There will be three modes in it. There will be three modes in it: basic, normal, advanced. Keep it in normal. Advanced mode sometimes gives a little lagginess in your PC. Advanced mode, so always keep it in normal mode. Next is the tools mode. Tools mode this zoom with scroll. Always switch on this zoom with scroll. So whenever you enlarge or decrease the image, it will smoothly, without jerking, it will smoothly enlarge and decrease the means zoom in and zoom out the image. And always disable this and enable flicking panning. What happens whenever we keep it enabled, whenever we try to open, it will go in a side, push in a side, and you have to bring it center. So always uncheck this, always check this. Okay, clear? Ravi, clear? It's clear. Just
Okay, sir.
okay, fine. Keep in between the times, answer me, so I will have an idea if you're clear, or anything not clear you can tell me also. So next, let's open the third part. So you're seeing the guidelines right now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The next thing is Wacom tablet and an ADM mouse, normal mouse. So it's a very crucial thing. If you don't have a Wacom tablet with you, you can always work with your mouse, which will help you out. Let me see this. Can you see the mouse?
Cursor you can see.
You can see the mouse. So always the mouse should be not very big in size. Always remember one thing, your palm should always hold this mouse very clearly. Don't go for a huger mouse, smaller mouse. Always check a mouse which has a very good grip control over your hand settings. And secondly, you have to see to it holding the mouse very clearly. It should come, this 3 fingers should come you. This 3 fingers should clearly come. First for right click, second for left click, and third for scrolling in and out. And next thing is, keep your wrist very steady. Only the movement should be like this. Let me show with example. Now see. See, can you see the mouse clearly now? And can you see the patterns?
Sir,
No.
not seen hand, sir.
And you're seeing the hand?
No, sir.
Okay, not able to see the hand. Wait a second.
Yes, sir.
The video is showing. Where is? Where is the? Wait a sec. Let me close it out. Here's the video. Can you see the hand right now?
Yes, sir.
So keep a very firm grip with these 3 fingers. Don't make it too much here and there, and always the wrist should lay down very tight. And whenever you make, see, your hand should be such firm that I'm pulling a straight line, it will pull a straight line straight forward. See, if I'm holding it very firmly, see, and don't do the movement. This is my canvas size, but my hand is here only. My hand is here only. I'm not lifting my wrist. I'm not making too much of a movement. I'm just keeping it straight off. See, if I want a straight cross line, and be very comfortable while holding the mouse. Let me show once again. And manage it from the scroll bar you have here. Scroll over here. So basically, this three fingers should be always come up, and basic holding is here. Keep your hand very steady, and movement should be only here. So whenever you are doing basic brushwork, so whenever you're doing a basic brushwork, your hands steady. Not too much of a movement. Easily you can. See, I'm not moving my wrist. The wrist is there only. The zone is there. So got an idea how to do the movement of the mouse? Ravi ji or someone else got an idea how to work with the mouse when we are written?
Yes, sir. I got it.
Yeah, yeah. Any other question? Any questions?
No, sir.
Okay, fine, fine, fine. Okay, fine. So this is how we can use a mouse. Now let's come down to the basic Wacom pen that we use. So let me see. Can you see the pen tab?
Yes, sir.
Can everyone see the pen tab?
बिल्कुल सर बिल्कुल.
So how to start a practice of pen tab? How to start a practice of pen tab before start working in pen tab? Whenever you have a pen tab, take a normal paper over your pen tab. Take a normal pen with a thicker front, this kind of a thicker front, not your regular small front, thick front, because always the pen tab's front is thick. So basically, just the way you write or draw, as you can see here. So I'm doing a cross box. So always the grip which you are using, the grip that you are using for writing or drawing from your regular pen, keep that grip only, that kind of a pressure only. Don't try too much to tip point the way you are comfortable. Like I'm very comfortable writing like this, keeping this finger very down and this very close. No, I can easily write like this. I can work like this. So whenever I will hold a pen, tap pen, I will hold in that manner only. I will hold it in that manner only. Now you can see. And if you're, I'm suppose left-handed, so I keep a little angle on it because it's easy to work for me. I keep a, so normally the kind of writing you do or anything you do, you keep your pen tabs setting, handling according to that. So before starting working with pen tab, normally practice 2 3 days. Keep a 1 day or 2 days. Keep a plain paper. Take a regular pen, and the way you start writing, that's the way you can start. Hold a pen tab. That will help you a lot while working in pen tab. So clear about the pen tab thing, how to hold the pen tab, how to work with the pen tab. So let's come down to our settings a little about the pen tab. Can you see the pen tab screen right now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Hmm. So first and foremost, I'm using a Vacuum Interest Pro. The applications that you use, you have to keep in mind assigning that application. And second, let's see how the firms, how the pen tabs, first two thing is the key, these keys. Let me show you. Can you see these two keys, top and bottom?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You can always go to keystroke over here and assign a keystroke. Suppose you want to step backwards or toggle through the layers, any or zoom in, zoom out, increase and decrease the size of the brush. You can assign over here easily whatever you want. Suppose I'm going to step backwards, undo, I have done it. So that's how you can assign a keystroke over here. Secondly is the pen tip. What does the pen tip pressure do? This is a very important thing. See this current pressure performance. The softer you keep, the smoother and the wider the pressure will be. You can see the blue line over here
Yes, sir.
in soft. Abhinash, can you see the blue line? Kaushik sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. See the softer.
Yes, sir.
Huh. Oh, sir, you don't say sir. So you can keep easily. Now, as I change the tip point, the pressure will change. And the second is double tick. double click distance means if I double click the distance, if I see. No, I am assigning this for only for the Photoshop. There was Ravish. I'm only assigning for this for the Photoshop. So this is how you can assign this for all applications also. No, I will show right now. I will show right now. Wait. Here. Now I go to pen. Pen. Now I have to add the application from here. See. Got my point? Raviji?
Yes, sir.
No, Ravi Bhushan, I think.
Got it, sir.
Got it? Clear
Yeah.
now?
Uh-huh.
You have to assign the application. It's all I was coming process by process. That's why. Okay. So now I have assigned the application specially for this application only for Photoshop. So it's all set for Photoshop right now. Okay. This is touch. Now if I again take Photoshop, browse. Wait. Photoshop. Okay. Now what does touch do? Still you can see the tablet now.
Yes.
Okay, fine. So basically zooming, zipping, zip out, or zoom punch, zoom in, this can be done through assigning touch sensitivity. I have kept off the touch sensitivity because I have an advantage. I am a left-hander. So this is how I work. I will show you. With one mouse goes like this, one hand, and the pen tab goes other hand. That's why I don't use the other hand that much for zooming, zoom out. So, but for the right-handed persons, you can easily do it. And thirdly, the function keys. Function keys are the assigned keys here. You can see the keys over here. These keys you can assign for anything. For zooming, zoom out, everything you can assign the keys. So you can assign the keys over here, whatever you want. Clear about the Wacom? Clear about the Wacom?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So now let's come on to actions. What are actions? Basically actions we make, especially for the checker layers, for dodging and burning. Like I will give you a list of actions that I have made. I will just show a few things because when we do the next 4 days, I will one by one show what actions we can use. So basically the kinds of actions that I use is retouching setup, basic setup of the retouching, frequency separation 8-bit or 16-bit, grain to add grains, color fix to color fix, dodge layer, dodge and burn layer, darken, redshift, and your oversaturation mask. So basically these are the actions that I use which helps out doing the work very fast. Another very beautiful panel that I use These are the actions that have been made. Another very beautiful panel that I use, which is very helpful in doing this work, is this beauty retouch panel. This has all that. It's not any kind of a plugin. It's basically a plugin. Suppose this is a visual aid. I clicked. I have already got here the checker layer made. So let me now show this. So I have already got the checker layer made over here. So there you have dodging, burning, everything. So action always saves time creating layers each and every time. Each and every time. Action always saves the time. Second is liquefy. So basic liquefy, always remember one thing whenever you want to liquefy. Suppose it's a body liquefaction, always try to liquefy the image before you start doing the adjustments of the blemishes such and dodging and burning. Always try to do the adjustments beforehand only in liquefy. Liquefy, how basic liquefy, let me open a basic liquefy. So normally this is our forward wrap brush. The size of the brush, density is basically the flow of the brush, softer to harder. If I increase the density, it will be a little hard, softer. If I decrease the density, see, it will go harder. So let me keep to my default density. Can you see the liquefy portion? Pressure is the pen pressure that we work for. So the more you increase the pressure, the more it will go in and out. The lesser you keep the pressure, the more smoothly things will work out. So I keep it around 10. You can use it anywhere. Next thing is reconstruction. We are doing a reconstruction. What does a reconstruction do? Basically, what does a reconstruction do? Reconstructions gives you a manual way to construct the face. Suppose I'm in reconstruction. Let me enhance. You can see the eye size, the eye height, the eye distance, now the nose height, a little smile or sadness, thickening or narrowing the lips, the lower lips, widening the mouth, shortening the mouth. Now we can see to the construction of the foreheads, the chins. jawlines, and face. The third option is smooth tool. Now, suppose I make an adjustment of this, I am enhancing this area. Now, what does a smooth tool do? A smooth tool tries to help us in smoothing the edges very cleanly. Now this is twirl. Twirl tool is basically and this is the pucker to decrease the tool face line, and this is to enhance. This now these two tools, can you see? This is the freeze mask. Suppose I want to let me come back once again to this image. Freeze mask. Suppose I want to enhance this skirt, this area, but I don't want these areas to get touched. So how do things work? Now let's go to the freeze mask. We put a freeze over here, this area. We put a freeze over here also. And suppose the areas you want to remove a little from the freeze area. Now you can see if I use liquefy in this area, it won't work. It has masked out. Only the areas which are untouched, the liquefy will work. So you can easily mask in liquefy to do the works. Now let's go to the basic smoothing. So understood liquefy? Any doubts?
No doubt, sir.
No doubts. Anyone else? Mm, so let's go. If you have any questions, you can ask me. Switch on the mic also. Clear, sir. Clear, sir. Fine, fine, fine. Clear. Okay, fine. So next we go to healing, spot healing, patch tools. Today we won't understand the basic details of healing spot, how to work. We will understand what's the basic difference between these three. So this is a basic image shot by Ravi Bhushan. Raviji, which profile did you use for it?
Standard, sir.
Standard. So let's begin with the basics. Which image are you seeing right now? The image of the girl? Which image are you seeing in the monitor? The image of the girl? Okay, fine. Are you able to see the image?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So what does a standard spot healing brush do? There are three options in it: content aware, create texture, proximity match. Let's go with the first, proximity match. Proximity match does a kind of match for the image. It will try to give a basic match of the blemishes or anything that you want. Now, what does a texture do? It will try to create a texture that has been assigned there. See, it will always give you a texture, soft texture.
What you will do?
Next is content aware. Content aware will match the nearby image very strongly. But in content aware, you have a play. Now you can see the patches are very soft. You can see. You can go to replace and it will actually replace the patch right now. So the best thing in using in spot healing is the proximity match. Whenever we use a proximity match, it will try to match the nearby skin very accurately. You can see now. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Now next come to the spot healing. Okay, basic healing. We did a spot healing, basic healing. So what does a basic healing does? Basic healing does is whatever area you sample from. It will try to match the area the nearby area, whichever area sample from, it will try to match from that area. Now understand one thing, why I told. Now start connecting the things one by one. Why I told the Wacom setup. See, now I am on the second furnace. Let me bring the Wacom once again back. Can you see the Wacom right now? Can you see the Wacom screen right now?
Yes.
Okay, fine. Now see, I was in near to the firm. Now if I soften out over here, Now what happens? See, there is a softer pressure, there is a broader pressure. It's taking larger chunks of areas. Now you see the difference. This is with a softer tip we are doing. Okay. Now let's go once again back to the vacuum. Mute the mic, Ravi. Huh, thank you. Now, can you see the vacuum once again?
Yes, sir.
Now we go to the firmer tip. Okay. Now see what the difference comes out. You can see the image again.
Yes.
Okay, fine. Now, as we go with a firmer tip, now it's much more controlled. My brush is bigger, but smaller areas and layers are working right now for me, and the texture is well maintained. So let me show you. See the difference between the two textures? Can you see the match textures between difference between a harder pen, a firmer pen, and a softer pen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So got an idea how a vacuum pen's setting also will help you doing a retouching work. So that's why every setting is very important. That's why the build-up is a see now. Let me once again take it. So you have to decide on your pen also to do the setting. Now the difference between, let me go to the basics once again. Now the basic difference that so now the basic difference between a vacuum and a normal pen, whenever you are a mouse and a vacuum, in mouse there is no such called pressure sensitivity. The pressure is fixed. You can't change the pressure sensitivity over here. It will do just the way it sees. You can't see the changes in the pressure sensitivity. That's why we always refer using a tablet for retouching is far better than using a mouse. I'm working with mouse right now. So let me show one basic difference between both. See, now if I'm normally into a mouse and I'm drawing a line over here right now, it will, Wait, I'm right now in a mouse and I'm drawing a line over here right now. The kind of brush size it and softness and hardness, the line will go accordingly. Now with a vacuum, with a pen tab, the benefit is the kind of firmness I select, this will change the intensity. Now this is your basic firm. So this is the benefit of using a vacuum. Next, let's come down. To the fundamentals once again. Now, how does a patch tool work for us? What is the use of a patch tool? Patch tool basically works in two ways, normal and content aware. Normal, what it does, normal, it just sees, you pull it, it will try to match the area you have pulled in. Suppose I pull here, it will try to match there. Got it? Now, what does a content aware do? In patch tool, if we go to content aware. Now, content aware, there is two options, structure and color. Basically, if we go structure, if we give 5, color, if we also keep 5. Now let's see. Now what it tries to do, it will try to blend the color and structure. The more you increase the color and structure, now let me decrease the structure to 1. Decrease the color to 1. It will try to merge it out. Now I increase the color. Sorry, I increase the so it will try to match. Now I increase. So always in patch tool, the normal is much more better to work with rather than construction and content aware. Clear with the patch tool, patch tool healing, spot healing, clear with it?
Yes.
Okay, fine. So let's now go to the stamp tool. So the basic work of a stamp tool, we have to understand what to use in stamp tool. Clones, brush setting. Brush setting, you can see the brush setting option over here.
Yes.
Okay, fine. So basically build up. We have to keep the build up on. What does a build up do? Build up is basically this airbrush option that we have over here. Which automatically works as an airbrush technique, which softly and tries to blend the textures very prominently, not keeping a very hard texture or a very soft texture, so or a very odd line. So basically the brush setting should always be built up. Rest other things you don't put in Like suppose I put in scatter texture, scattering, it will change the dynamics of the brush a lot. See, dual texture is softening out, hardening out the brush. Texture transfer will change a little things. Wettage will hard it out. So this is how basically when we are, you should switch off the smoothing. It's always better to switch off the smoothing in brush settings and keep the build up on. That will always help you out while you are doing clone stamp work. Which screen can you see right now? The chart or the girl?
Chart.
Oh, chart. Okay, fine, sir. So next we come down to brush tool. Brush tool is simply using the brushes for various purposes, like from the soft brush to the hardness. Now let me show one brush. I have selected one brush. Again, I go to the brush settings. Now see, it's in transfer. So it will work always. I have to keep it on build up, remove the transfer, because whenever you are doing retouching, right from your brushing to your edge selection, you will always require a soft edge brush to work on with. See, now I have put dynamic shapes. I have switched off dynamic shape. I have put on dynamic shape. You can see the changes. You can see the changes.
Yeah.
Now dual brush will change it a little. So always try to keep it up in build up, nothing else, nothing else. See, you increase the spacing, it will increase the spacing. So keep it as normal as you want. One, not much. So basically you can keep it from 0 to 25, not beyond that. Otherwise the gap will start to increase. Now the next portion is dodge and burn. What does dodge and burn do to us? Basically, dodge and burn helps out to even out the colors, match the colors, remove the unevennesses of the colors. Basically, with proper dodge and burn, we can merge, mix the colors properly of our skin. So basically, when we make a dodge and burn layer, we go to curves. If we put it up, this is a dodge layer, a lightened dodge layer. And if we put it down, this is a regular darker layer. This is a burn layer. This is one of the most crucial and important thing in retouching, getting a proper dodge and burn layer, which I will definitely tell you the values you can put in and work on later when we do the dodge and burn portion. I'm just explaining the. So basically what dodge and burn helps us in doing is matching out the colors, blending the colors very nicely, or blending the darknesses and highlights very nicely, especially of the minor blemishes that we see on. Next is frequency separation. Let me give you a basic idea what frequency separation does. Basically, when we make frequency separation, we make two layers First layer, we can name it color layer. Second layer, we can name it texture layer. So what is the basics that we have to do in frequency separation? There is one chair. Okay, fine. So what's the basic we have to do in frequency separation? What we have to do with the color layer? Whenever we go to filter, we to go to blur, we go to Gaussian blur. Whenever you are doing frequency separation, remember one thing. The basic thing is whenever you blur out the image, you have to see the image, the quality of the image, the texture of the image, and if it's a portrait shot, if it's a full length shot, if it's a shot, it's a mid length shot, do the blurring accordingly. Don't fix a number. What we have to do in frequency separation basically is we have to just, you can see the textures over here, we have to just even out, smooth out the textures of the image. In this case, a 10 is perfect. We can't now see the textures of the skin. This is the work of frequency separation. Don't overdo it. Don't start merging the lines. Don't start merging the lines. Keep the lines intact. This, let me show the brush. This nose lines, this lip lines, don't merge it. Keep it intact. Keep it until the texture is maintained. Suppose in this portrait image, the texture is 10 I am getting. Now let me open one more image, such image. So which image you are showing? The full length image? You are seeing the sitting image right now?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Now let's make once again colors, texture. Now again in this, we go to filters. Let me fit to. We have to go to filters. We have to go to Gaussian blur. Now let's start. Now see, this is blemishing out. Now it's a full length image. It has a smaller face. So around 7, the texture, these are not texture, these are blemishes. So around this, the texture is all merged. In 6 also, it's all merged. So this is how you have to decide on the values. You have to see to it that the textures are, the skin textures are basically merged, not visible very promptly, and don't overdo it, otherwise the lines will start getting distorted. The face lines will start getting distorted. The next thing we do is take the second layer, the texture layer. We go to image, apply image. Here we take the color layer from here. Color layer, instead of multiply, we have to select subtract. And the scale value should be 2 and the offset value should be 128. Sorry, the offset value should be 128. Press OK. Now change this blending mode to linear light. Now basically we have regained the texture as it was in the original image. Now what is the basic work of frequency separation? Basically, many people think frequency separation is for skin softening. No, Basically, frequency separation is for merging of colors, maintaining the texture, not spreading out the texture. Let me give you an example. Let me take one image. We have to re-Gaussian blur it to now. Suppose I have used 10, I do 15. I mean, double the size. So I've used 10, I will use 20. Okay. You can see the difference. The texture is there, but the color is blended.
Sir, it got stuck.
It got stuck. Now it's okay.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
okay. Now let me.
Yeah.
Close.
Now it's okay.
This image you can see right now.
Yeah.
Okay, let me do once again. This is the basic we did. Now we have to understand what does frequency separation does. It doesn't smoothen out the image. It blends the colors. Now see, this is an area which is highlighted. Okay. This is a black area. Now, what does a frequency separation do? It tries to match the colors over there. You can see now? See the difference? Is the image visible?
Yes, sir.
You have seen right now the difference?
Sir, could you do the texture part again?
Let me start from right from the start. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Let me take another image. So we take first an image, second an image. The first layer we name it color. We name it color. The second image we name it texture. So what we do with the first image when we blend it with a Gaussian blur, our first priority is to totally normalize to remove the textures, not overdo it. So we go here, filter. Just keep informing me if you are able to see the image. 20 knots overgone, overboard. You can't see the lines, the details, anything. So we have to go to back to 0. Now we take the tip over here and start scrolling it. I found 6.8. No, 6 is much more nice. So this is a basic work we have done in merging the skin colors, the textures, merging the skin textures and colors. Now next part we go to the texture layer. We select the texture layer. We go to image, apply image. Here instead of merge we go to color. Layer panel. Layer panel we have to go to color. Keep the channel in RGB only. Don't change the channel. In the blending mode, it most of the time comes multiplied. We have to take subtract. Scale we have to put 2. Offset we have to put 128 and do OK. Now in the blending, layer blending mode, we have to go to normal. Instead of normal, we have to take linear light. So we have regained the texture. So the difference is, here is the texture layer, here is my color layer. Now basically what does frequency separation does, it doesn't smoothen out the skin, it even outs the colors. Let's make a second copy of the frequency separation. Now let's take, suppose this is an uneven area. I select this area, I put a little feather in it. Now I take Gaussian blur. Suppose I have put 6, I will double the amount, 15. Okay. Now you can see the texture is, the colors are blended. Now go to the main image. You can see the difference. Ravi, Bhushan ji, you can see it.
Yes, sir.
Ravi ji, sir. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Okay, sir, can you see the difference?
Yeah, a lot of difference. I could make out the patch gone.
So basically you have to understand, frequency separation is never meant for smoothening skin. It's meant for blending the blemishes, blending the blemishes or the unevenness we have in the skin. Basically the mistake we do in frequency separation, we never see to the areas where there is uneven patterns. Like this has an uneven pattern. Right now it's not a finished. Let me show this to this area. You can see here, if I can point it out. Now this area has an uneven pattern about in it. Now what to do? We again take the selection, do a little here. Now let's, so yeah, now you can see it's merged out. So basically frequency separation is always meant for blending the color, keeping the texture intact. We don't play with the textures, we only blend the colors. That's a basic work of frequency separation, not to smoothen out skin. That's the most wrong thing we think. Basically what one does, takes an entire image space and does the blurring mode. That time it starts to, it looks smoothing, but the shape starts changing in it. The face shape dimensions start changing in. So you have to be very precise in frequency separation, how to blend the colors properly, that it doesn't change the image too much. It's a very key factor in frequency separation. So let me come to one more point. Is it clear, frequency separation?
Yes.
Okay, sir. Now contouring on image enhancement. So let's open this image. So which image you are able to see, the red image? Okay. So you are able to see the red girl sitting on the sofa. So what is image enhancement? Image enhancement and contouring is basically we are reshaping or giving new dynamics to the body, to the face. Face we will do it later on in the sessions to go. Let's do with the body first. Now suppose I want to make a very sharp looking, Now see, I want to bring a very distinct look of this area. I go, I dodge a little. Now I merge the lines. I go, I burn a little. Now I merge the lines. Don't worry, I will explain this completely. Right now, I'm only giving a demo of what the basic procedures that we do during retouching works. So you can see the dynamics now changing of our hand, shaping and everything. I have done it roughly to show what does shaping and everything does. So we can create lines and everything during we do enhancement of the images or contouring of the images. Got it?